We're going to talk about how to set up a trust for your rental properties. So if you put your rental properties in your personal name or inside of your LLC, they will have to go through the probate process and they will effectively be frozen and inaccessible to your family during the probate process. What we're going to cover today is things that happen when you do not avoid the probate process with rentals, how to set up the structure to avoid the probate process. And so what's going to happen when your assets are going through the probate process is with the rental properties, they're effectively frozen, especially if they're inside of an LLC, because the estate owns it and the executor only has limited capabilities of what they can do with those rental properties inside of the probate process. So you are going to effectively freeze it. You can't set up new contracts. You can't do lease agreements. You can't evict the tenant. All the executor can do is basically float that property through the probate process. Also, because they are going through the probate process, your family can't actually access those properties during probate. And so let's say that you are the source of income for your family, and when you pass away, you expect that they would be able to sell those properties to generate cash or be able to access the rental income from those. During probate, they cannot access the properties or the cash flow. Cash flow will go into the estate bank accounts and then will be distributed on the back end of probate when those assets are distributed out to your family. So your family doesn't have any access to them during the probate process. Ways that you can set this up to avoid it with a trust is going to be put your properties inside of an LLC, and that way your personal assets that your family holds will be protected from the rental properties. Any lawsuits or creditors coming after those properties inside of the LLC, your personal assets will be protected from them. Then you can set up a trust. So you have two options here. You can do a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust. The revocable trust will avoid probate. The irrevocable trust will give you asset protection and avoid the probate process. With a revocable trust, you can be the trustee and the beneficiary. With an irrevocable trust, you cannot be the trustee or the beneficiary. As an example, the trustee is a person that would sell a house inside of a trust. The beneficiary would be the person that would be able to take distribution from the proceeds of that sale. Which one you will want is going to be determined on the goals that you have. So if you only want to avoid the probate process and you want to maintain control over the assets inside of that trust, you can use a revocable trust. If you want the asset protection and you are okay with giving up control over those assets, then you can set up an irrevocable trust. Now, you already have an LLC, so why do you need an irrevocable trust for asset protection? The LLC protects you from the rental properties, but the irrevocable trust will protect the rental properties from you. And so if you have a lawsuit coming after you or creditors coming after you, they're coming after the assets in your personal name. And the LLC membership, when it's in your personal name, is accessible to those liabilities. So those creditors and those lawsuits can come after the LLC membership and therefore the assets inside of it. But if you have the LLC membership inside of an irrevocable trust, they won't be able to access it as long as it's set up correctly. We have the LLC, the rental properties inside of it, and now we have put the LLC membership inside of our trust, whether that's a revocable or an irrevocable trust. Once we have everything structured, we need to make sure that we are updating our insurance. If you have a property inside of a trust and you file a claim and you do not update your insurance policy, they have the right to not pay out any claims on that property. And so let's say you hold the policy in your personal name, but the property is inside of a trust or an LLC. They will look at who owns that property, which would be the entity, and then whose name is on the policy, which would be you. If there's a mismatch there, they will see that you have transferred the ownership rights of that property into the entity, and you have technically breached the agreement that you have with them, and they have the right to not pay out any claims. So you need to make sure that you're talking to your insurance company and updating your insurance policy to make sure that you are fully covered for that property. If they say no, everything's fine, make sure you get that in writing. That way you're protecting yourself. We have set up our LLC, put the assets inside of it. We have asset protection from the rental properties inside the LLC. We have the LLC membership inside of our trust, and now we have updated all of our documents. Those are the steps that we take to put our rental properties inside of a trust. If you want help setting any of this up, click the link in the bio, the comments, or the video description to set up a time to talk to someone on our team.